How's it going, man?
How you doing,
How
man?
you doing today?
Good.
Yeah, I just went upstairs. I came back a little late because I had to shit, so I ran upstairs.
It's tough in radio.
Yeah.
It is because you got to do it in the break. And there was no.
He's been drinking a lot of decaf.
The decaf is killing me, dude.
The shits haven't been good for Jim.
Caffeine is good. Coffee with caffeine is cool because you drink it and your body understands what to do with it. But I think with decaf, your body's like, why is
Get
this?
this out.
Yeah, this brown worthless liquid is just sitting here.
What
Yeah,
was
or-
the? Didn't they have like those sugar-free gummy bears that just instantly gave everyone diarrhea or something? Like like whatever chemical they used like caused people to have a horrible intestinal
Is that
distress.
true?
Yeah, somebody told me that on set.
Yeah, our commercial breaks have gotten much more sudden.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta go to break. We gotta go to break right now.
Decaf is not.
Oh, we're gonna
serving
pause
me
15
well.
minutes for station ID.
Yeah, I don't know about the gummy bears though. It's not surprising.
Yeah.
Every time you think there's something that's gonna like take weight off you or something, there's some downside to it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, do you ever chew vegan gum?
No.
It's fucking horrible.
Gum wasn't vegan already.
I thought,
No.
yeah, I would have thought the same thing. What's non-vegan
Something
about
in,
gum?
in the part that makes it chewy or the flavor. There's something that uses
Yeah.
glycerin.
Cow? Don't they use like hooves or something to make gum?
Oh God. Oh, that's Jello. They
Oh,
used
yeah, that's
to.
Jell-O. Yeah,
Oh.
I
that's
can't
Jell-O.
imagine they'd get away with it anymore.
That's Jell-O.
Yeah.
Do they use hooves to make Jello?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what they use, like ground up like either cow hooves or horse hooves.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
to make the whatever it is, like the coagulating agent or something.
Yeah.
Like the gelatin is gelatin is all. I did a movie in Poland and they really like gelatin, clear gelatin with meat stuck in it, and that was like dinner a
Wow.
lot. It was rough. Yeah.
As a meal?
Yeah.
Why? What
As a nice meal, like at the hotel, like for dinner, it's like this is what we're having. Like, oh man.
do
What's
they
it
add,
called?
Is gelatin like? Is that just to add texture? Is there a flavor to it?
No, there wasn't any flavor. It's just
Ugh.
to suspend the meat, like
Just to show
yeah.
everybody we're Poland and it's the future.
Yeah.
Here's what Invasion of the Body Snatchers would look like if it was
Yeah.
just with little bits of meat.
Is the meat
creepy?
Is the meat hot?
No.
It can't be, right?
No, it was
Because you have to put the Jello in the fridge.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be right. Yeah, with like, oh god, I can't imagine if they heated that up. How disgusting that would look.
You don't remember what it was called?
No, this was like in 2000, so it was not that long after communism had fallen. So there was a sense of like real joy in certain things. Like there's lots of ice cream stands everywhere, and there'd be an ice cream break every day. Like stuff that people got to like enjoy for the first time that they hadn't under communism. But
Oh, you
some
saw
of
when
the-
it was just kind of starting to
Yeah,
come
just
in.
like 9 or 10 years after, and we were really in like the countryside near Krakow, and like it was, you'd see some satellite dishes, but also people, with a horse and carriage doing their farm work that seemed like it had been unchanged for a really long time.
But it was just like they were celebrating. Like, look,
Yeah.
we've got so much food, we can just suspend it in gelatin.
Right, yeah.
It's as much
we
as
can
we
really
want.
play with this now, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been over there. It kind of scares me to go. Poland, I want to go to.
Yeah, it's
Russia's
fascinating.
scary. I want to go to. I think Krakow is where the. Is that where Auschwitz is?
No, well, it's kind of close there. It's a couple hours away in the countryside. It's so disconcerting because all those places, all the horrible, death camps, everything, they're in beautiful rolling countryside. And you're like, wow, this was just sitting right here out in the
Did
open.
you go to it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's. I went to Amsterdam, and I kind of wanted to go to the Anne Frank house, but it was just sold out. Like
It's impossible to get in there. Yeah, I went a couple, almost 10 years ago now, but our summer program for NYU is in Amsterdam. And I went there, and like it took like a couple weeks to find the morning when you can actually get in line and go there. And I think it's even more difficult now.
You send a shout out to the Beliebers when you signed the guest
Oh my
book?
God! Wow, I can't believe no one over his shoulder was like, "Don't write that!
What are you
Don't
doing?
write that!
Justin,
no, no,
what
no!
are you doing?
What
Can
did he
you tell
say?
me first what you're gonna put in the book of this place?"
He said something to the effect of it couldn't have been "Don't Stop Believing" because it's Journey, but
some with believers.
I hope
Yeah,
that
he-
she would have been like putting it on her. Like I
Yeah.
hope that she would have the sense to listen to my music. It's like
yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely some kind of shout out to believing in the Beliebers.
No, he
Yeah.
said like Anne Frank would have been a believer.
Believer, yeah.
I
Yeah, it's a
I'd
little
just been
cheesy.
shooting in South Africa, and I went to Robben Island where Mandela and a lot of people were imprisoned, and it was crazy because in the Anne Frank house, in the last room, they really like. It's really restrained, but in the last room they have like Mandela quotes. He's like, every man on Robben Island like had the Anne Frank diary. And it's like, holy shit. So going there, it's like these disparate places.
Did you get to go into the actual attic, or do you just look into it so you can see how
Yeah,
small it is?
and it's I really like how they do it because it's there's a couple informational things, but it's pretty much just an empty apartment. All the furniture's out and everything, and you just kind of walk through the space, and that's part of why the lines are so long because it's a very tiny little space and only a few people can go in at a time.
Oh.
But yeah, they kind of just let the space speak for itself until you get like to the final rooms when they talk about it. But yeah.
How big is the actual attic?
It's not very big. I can't remember, but like I do remember like sliding down hallways and stuff. Like it's a really like tiny
Bookcase
space.
or something it was
Yeah,
behind?
yeah, that's right.
Now, what was Auschwitz like? Because I almost went there from... My final gig was in Amsterdam. I almost went to Auschwitz, but it would have been like an 11-hour flight
It's a whole
home.
day, yeah, but it's great. It's really intense. And like I've noticed this, like at the 9/11 museum too, where there's a terrible contrast between like people who are, involved in where they are and like kids running around like having no idea where they are, and you're like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have kids like coming into. I went into like the most graphic room in the 9/11 museum, and there's a guy on a phone going like, yeah, I'm in the 9/11 museum. Yeah, I'll meet you later. Like, put it.
You're like, this context.
Yeah.
Context is everywhere.
Yeah, people are such asses sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah, it's crazy.
No kind of awareness of their surroundings.
Yeah.
No.
This is a quiet place.
Yeah, you're not supposed to yell into your phone.
Yeah.
There's no sign. Nobody said I couldn't use it. Was this your place? All right, sir.
Do they
you're
say
right.
no pictures too?
No, and that must have been a difficult thing to figure out. I think it's kind of they leave it up to you to behave. So most people do.
Like, because what do they have in the 9/11 museum? The fire truck that was crushed, right?
They have a lot of the steel, like right where the plane went in. They have the big antenna that was on top of the building. The museum is kind of tough because it's all, pictures and everything. But the space that they have underneath, where the footprint of the building used to be, is pretty incredible. It's just this giant place, and the wall that kept the river from pouring in that they had built in the 60s is exposed. Yeah, it's pretty.
Slush wall or something it's called.
Yeah, the slurry wall.
Slurry wall.
Yeah.
And they actually have a piece of the metal where the plane went in.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can see right where it went in. It's pretty intense.
Well, I'd like to. It's amazing. I look at that building every day, and I've never gone there.
Yeah.
But you're not really a sightseeing guy generally, are you?
Something like that I would see. I mean, I of course, I don't know why I haven't. I think is it sold out, or can you just go and get in?
You got to make an appointment or something. I went when it opened, but it's like, it felt like a do it once thing.
Yeah.
Do you go when you go places? Do you end up trying to find what's there? You know what I mean? And sightsee and see what's going on.
And South Africa was like that too. Where like every weekend, it's like, all right, we got to make sure, if the pilot doesn't get picked up, we're only gonna have one opportunity to see this stuff. So it's all the Cape. Yeah, I normally do that.
Did it get picked up?
We find out July 14th.
Oh, you just shot. What was it?
Yeah, it was called Oasis. It's a sci-fi series, and it's the
that
pilot
Seth
is on
Rogen's thing?
Amazon. No, that's Future Man.
Okay.
Yeah, that will come out, I think, all at once at the end of the summer or the fall. Yeah.
Oh,
it's a fun
okay.
one.
So how'd you like South Africa?
I liked it. It was an adventure, and it just feels very, very far away. It's like 17 hours from here, and with the time difference and everything, it just really feels like you're off on a really distant land.
Do you feel under threat at all? Because I know that a lot of the white farmers have had problems there. Like, it's a really weird history that place has. Was it scary at all?
It's so recent too. I mean, there's pretty high crime, but they kept us safe. But it is very distressing to see that those divisions are still very much in force, and it only ended in the 90s, so there is it's harder there than it is in a lot of other places. I want to go out and explore the city and meet people and everything, because it's still pretty violent.
What do they say? Don't do it.
Yeah, don't go certain places at night, and don't go alone and everything. And I like going to, and maybe this is stupid anywhere, but it's put in my headphones and kind of wander around, and it's you got to be a little bit more aware there. So.
Of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Now, was it a segregated area you were in, or no? There's no segregated areas.
I mean, it's not that anymore, but that's one of the dark legacies, is that you can see that there are very separated neighborhoods, and the wealthier areas, and then the townships and everything, that all those geographical divisions are still there. So, our director, Kevin McDonald, he's like, South Africa is interesting to see whether this is the past becoming, a more unified future, or whether this is a vision of the future for everywhere, of these kind of really intense divisions. They're sort of figuring out how to do that.
How long were you there?
A month.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So what? Nelson Mandela's. How far is that from downtown, wherever you were?
That the island is an hour boat trip out from the harbor, and Yeah, that island had been used as a prison since the 1500s. So there's all these different, eras of what they were using it for, and then the most recent being the apartheid government putting it there. But yeah, it's incredible, and they have. The tour guides are mostly former inmates there, former prisoners that now they live in the houses that used to be the prison guards' houses and everything. It's really intense. The guy's like, yeah, like this is where they used to beat me, and this is where I was in prison for 20 years. It's really intense.
Can you imagine choosing to do that though, like not wanting to get as far away from it as possible? I guess there's some poetic justice in the fact that they live in the prison guard's house.
Yeah, you would first think like you would never want to get close to it, but also the trouble is a lot of them just said openly, it's like it's tough to find jobs, so this is a good way to employ a lot of people who have struggled since that era, and now they live in relatively nice conditions on this island. Because that's with a lot of places, like, oh, it's a beautiful island where all these horrible things happen for years and years and years.
It's cool you go out and see places though. Like I try to, and a lot of times I don't. I saw Alcatraz. That was kind of fun. Have you been to Alcatraz?
No, I haven't. Yeah,
that was a really fun tour.
No one has ever escaped from there, right? No one swam.
I think people escaped but were lost. Like I think there were a couple people that got out but never.
Well,
every time I go out in like the bay, like that water is so frighteningly choppy and crazy. Like to think that anybody says swam in it at any point.
It was the Anglin brothers and Frank. I forget his name. Frank something. My memory's really starting to go. Oh boy. But can you look up who escaped from Alcatraz? Clint Eastwood played him.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
I think you were kidding when you said that.
Yeah.
And the two brothers, and there was a fourth guy who panicked and just stood there frozen. In the movie, his name is Charlie Butts, but I forget what his real name is. That was his name in the movie, but it's not his real name. Frank Morris. And John and Clarence Anglin got out, and they were never found. So they don't know. They had these little things from Popular Mechanics that they blew up, and they were going to swim.
Yeah, you want to romanticize it and think that, like, the same thing with D.B. Cooper, that, like, somewhere out there. Yeah. But the way nature works, like, we kind of know what happened. Yeah. There's a reason why people don't resurface.
Yeah.
You never know. But then again, back then it was easier to disappear in the 60s and the 1970s because everything wasn't digitally tracked.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's also really easy to disappear at the bottom of the bay.
It certainly is.
I think that's probably where they disappeared to. But they're not in jail anymore.
They never found them. No, they never found any trace of them anywhere. But they said there was. I've read that they got picked up by a boat. But eventually, I'm sure that somebody would have. I'm the guy. Yeah. After the movie came out, somebody would have come forward and said, that's me.
What's nuts that people do it now, like those guys in upstate New York who escaped the maximum security prison.
Yeah.
Like,
you'd think we'd have the technology that you can't, just can't happen. But
and that woman who was, like, blowing one of them.
Oh, they had help. That's how they did it. Yeah.
That lady who worked there, and she couldn't get enough prisoner dick. And she fucking helped them get out of jail. But she didn't help them on the night of the escape. She bailed out.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, man.
But it still came out that she was blowing all the prisoners.
You know how mad you must have been if you're fucking having sex with her? She was like a 3. And then you're fucking her and she just doesn't help you get out of jail.
Yeah.
She doesn't show up with the car.
Yeah.
And that was
been sawing through this wall for a year.
What was that, Travis?
Tilly.
Tilly, that's
Tilly
right.
was
Her name was Tilly.
Yeah.
I think they're making a movie about that.
Are they really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope so. I feel like there's a renaissance right now going on for you.
Oh, thanks.
It seems like there's just I don't know, you're popping up all over the place, and there's this huge interest in what you're doing like now, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
It's got to be. What do you credit that to? Anything specific? Was there one project or something that like Always Sunny or whatever that started getting
fun.
people's attention again?
It's tough to to identify the moment, and my goal was always just to work on as many projects as possible and do as many different characters as possible. I think Silicon Valley has probably been the one of the biggest parts I've gotten recently, and it's a cool show to be on, and it's been on for so many years, and to go on a show that I've been a fan of for so long, like that's been a cool thing. But I did Amazon's first streaming series, Alpha House, in 2013, and that was kind of when even though we shot that here, I went to school in New York City from 2006 to like 2011, and then like 2013 is when I started like going back to LA and started doing shows again.
Getting back into it.
Yeah.
Why is TJ leaving? T.J. Miller. They say he's leaving
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, this is last season. I think he just wanted to bring a character to an end, and that he and HBO mutually made the decision. But it's I know what happens to his character this season, but I can't tell anyone at this point. But I'm seeing him tonight actually at the premiere for his comedy special, which is also for HBO.
Oh, I saw. You know, it's funny. I don't know if I sent it to him. I saw a really cool poster. I was in Times Square and there was a giant TJ Miller. Yeah, I might have tweeted it or something. It was a really cool. It's got 2 words. The name of it. What do you know what the name of it is?
Meticulously ridiculous.
Yeah. So he's a funny dude, man.
Yeah, he is.
HBO's been pushing that comedy special hard too. Every
every
episode
show.
of Silicon Valley before it starts.
Really?
There's a commercial for the comedy special. Yeah.
Well, they've been pushing. They pushed. Who's the guy that gets the show? He's black comic. Oh my God, Gerard Carmichael. They pushed his special, but he's really funny. And I was in LA, and he had like the side of a building. Like HBO, I think because of Netflix, they're pushing the specials that they get very hard. It's actually probably a really good time to do an HBO special.
Yeah.
Because they're going to promote you more than they probably would have 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right, that's true.
Netflix is always a surprise just when I turn on the app and it's like, this 3 Dave Chappelle specials. Oh my God.
Once a week, they're releasing a special. It's amazing how many people are doing.
But sometimes you just won't see it, and it'll be like, oh my God, look who's got, like, Jim Norton's got a new special, and that's a month old. Like, where have you been?
That's the good part is that nobody, it just sits there.
Yeah.
So people could just look you up and go and get it. That's kind of the great part. The bad part is you're competing with Chappelle and Louis.
Right. Did you leave acting to go to college?
Yeah, part of the reason I chose NYU was that they were very accommodating for me leaving to do things. So I did 1 play on Broadway and 1 movie when I was in college. But ultimately, it was like I realized I would be in school for like 20 years if I kept working and delaying classes and everything. So I finished up in 2011, and then it was coming back to doing regular things. But yeah,
how long did you? Oh, I was gonna what makes you want to go to school? Because like as somebody who went to school just K through 12 and then college, no part of me wanted to go to college. I didn't want to stay in college, but it wasn't like I had options. I didn't have anything else going on. I feel like if I had anything else going on, I would have not done that.
I suppose so. And as a business decision, maybe it wasn't the most effective thing to do. But just personally, I knew I wanted to go, and it was a time to really sort of the last chance to figure out, do I really want to do this? What should I really be doing with my life? And it was pretty clear once I got there that I did want to be doing it. And just the experience of I went to theater school, so learning, techniques for stage and everything I think was really helpful and continues to be helpful on stuff that I'm doing now. But even if I hadn't wanted to, my mom is a 6th grade teacher, and both my parents were very pro education. So from a very young age, it was like I was going to finish college. I was going to finish everything, and was glad to do that because you can always go back and do it. But there's just something about being 18 and being in New York City and meeting all those people, and it was making really good friends. That now it's fun because they are popping up. My friend Sarah Sutherland is on Veep playing Selena's daughter. So
that's awesome.
Another person from my class, Olivia Sandoval, is on Fargo this season. So it's cool.
That's great.
Yeah, cool to
Those
see people everywhere.
Those are great shows to be on.
Yeah,
like Silicon Valley, Veep, and Fargo are 3 of the best shows to be on.
It seems like it's funny. People child actors who become successful adult actors. A lot of them have had a break for college. Yourself, you're doing well. I mean, Brooke Shields, Jodie Foster.
Yeah, she went to Yale,
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that break, then all of a sudden you come back in a couple of years. It's not a long layoff, but just a couple of years, and people are like, oh, okay, this is the new person now.
Yeah, it's nice to have a foundation outside of the industry, and that's the time when you really establish that, I think, is having, friends from outside the industry and just a life outside of doing shows.
And to get that's a smart thing. It never even occurred to me that thing that you said just a minute ago, which is you get a second to get your head together to figure out if you actually want to do this. Because when you're a kid, it's like, it's cool to be on a commercial. And then, of course I'll do this movie. And then you're on this cycle that you, at some point, have to ask, did I choose this? Is this what I want?
And if you ultimately decide you don't want to do it, having no other skills,
no skill sets.
How much did you get laid in college? Because I'm sure you still.
My God!
Being in 2 iconic films, and more than that, but 2 iconic films. Very recognizable. You must have been fucking dumping all over the place.
I don't think those were helpful because, like, being a kid in those movies, I hope no one was watching that going like, oh, yeah.
I want to fuck that kid from the Ghost
that
movie.
robot, yeah. But no, I'll just say being in New York at 18 it was a good time. Being in theater school, great group of people.
Yeah, but even if you're a kid, you were nominated, right? As a kid.
Yeah.
So even if you were a kid, then you can still go to theater school and be like, well, I mean, as an Oscar-nominated performer, what I would do here, and that's got to help.
Yeah, I mean, it
doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
No.
What was nice though is that a lot of the people at the program at NYU were more experienced than me in a lot of ways. You know, for stage and everything. One of my friends got hired right out of college to do Cirque du Soleil, so you had this very broad, diversity in people's skill sets that was cool to be around.
Yeah.
Who beat you when you got nominated? Who won that? year?
Michael Caine.
What the fuck has he ever done?
Michael Caine. What was it for?
For Cider House Rules, and we worked together like a year after that on Secondhand Lions too, which was pretty cool. So
did you when you're a kid, like how does a kid react to being nominated for an Oscar? Like, did you want to win? This is the way a kid wants to win anything, or did you not even really get?
It's the whole thing. It's like a whole season of press and promoting it and like other award show. Like it's the last award show of the season, so by then you've done like the Golden Globes and SAG Awards and all these other things. So I trying to remember my mindset back then. I don't think I like really wanted to win.
Like you didn't cry when you lost.
No.
How old were you?
11.
Okay.
And I mean, I had just met with Steven Spielberg for the first time before the Oscars when he was getting ready to do AI, and he was like, I'll tell you the best part about this whole thing. He's like, at the Oscars, pay attention during the commercial breaks because you'll see all these big stars that you know running around like fans to meet people that they're fans of, and that was like the coolest part about it. Is like, yeah, you just have this incredible assortment of people. I mean, that year the category I was in was Tom Cruise, Michael Caine, Michael Clark Duncan, and Jude Law.
Oh my god!
And it was just cool because that's a set of 5 people going to all these to the luncheon and everything.
So you met all of them.
Yeah. And at one point during the Oscars, Jude ran over to me. The first time I met him, he was like, "It's a secret, but apparently we're playing robots in this new movie." And we're like, "Oh yeah!" Like it's kind of a cool moment.
Oh, that's great. So you enjoyed the experience?
Yeah, it was terrific.
How did your parents protect you from the whole thing? Because the industry can be, if you don't enjoy it, it can be a pretty toxic place.
Well, just by being there. I mean, my dad was usually the one with me, and he was a big part of me learning how to act because he studied theater in college. He ran a theater on Santa Monica Boulevard in the 80s, so a lot of my training came from his techniques and everything. But they just were always on set. And now it's kind of crazy to me because it seems like a lot of work doing a show. And when I was a kid, you also have to do, by California law, 3 hours of school every day with a tutor. So there was that on top of shooting everything. So school was a big stabilizing thing because I went to a regular elementary school, high school, and finally finished up in college. So having that foundation, having parents around, I wasn't going to the weird parties or anything when I was a teenager.